One thing I should say is, oh my goodness, putting up a greenhouse like this on a footing with a brick plinth and stuff is so much more work than putting up a polytunnel. It's incomparable. Okay, with the polytunnel glazed, it's now time to make the beds inside it, and I've got a bit more to do as well. I've got some old oak beams here that I built a porch out of for my brother a few years back. They've been kicking around. They're kind of like too good to throw away, but not good enough to really use. So I'm going to cut these up and make the bed in the middle. So it's just going to be a 2-foot path up the middle of the greenhouse with a bed at the end as well. So I'm going to cut them up and see how much I've got. I think I've got just enough to do it with these old beams. You can see what I mean about some of them. You'd be pretty disappointed if I built your porch out of that piece, wouldn't you? Let's get it cut up. In all honesty, if I was going to do this and do a really fancy job, I'd do some half-flap joints, but it's a greenhouse bed. You can kind of over-egg these things, can't you, a little bit, so let's just go. I'm not cutting these to length yet, I'm just kind of using them as building blocks. So I can just take these down, lay them out, see where we're going, and I'll cut up the other few bigger beams that I've got, which are in a kind of similar state. Again, I'd like to use these for something far better than this, but they've been kicking around now for 3 or 4 years, and I kind of keep thinking I'm going to use them, then I don't, so sometimes it's better to use it. I could buy some more if it comes to it. These were quite nice. These were milled by a friend. My brother felled the tree, and it was a tree that we used to sit under for secondary school, which is kind of nice, isn't it? So, you know, and it had to be felled for safety reasons, but you know, got a good home, made a nice porch for my brothers as well. This is the longer beam, and like I said, I feel a little guilty using this. You've always been a carpenter, I suppose. You have stuff kicking around, but you've got to use it, or you just rots away. Let's cut the end square. I'll take this down as well. Joys of a small workshop. What I need to do now is dig them in a little bit, level them up, make sure there's about 2 foot, and that allow for 1 row of slabs down the middle, which I think will be fine. Part of me was thinking about having an area for potting and stuff, but I've got the other one, so I don't know if it's very wise to have it in 2 places. Yeah, on the shelf, please, if you would, yeah. Okay, to join these together, I'm going to be a bit lazy and use these nice big timber lock kind of decking screws. Drill a pilot hole and then just wind them together. I know impact drivers are noisy and horrible really, but you wouldn't have done that with a normal drill. I went and got my earmuffs because we make call these rattlers. You kind of forget, especially when you're in like an enclosed space like a greenhouse, just how loud they are. Absolutely horrible. God, they drive me in. Like good and bad, you know what I mean? Anyway, that's one put together. We can flip that over now. Quite heavy that. Oh. I mean, it's a bit twisty. You'll just have to be what it'll be. Okay, now I'm going to put some stone in the middle, put some slabs on top, make myself a little path. It's a bit twisty, I think it looks alright. Ooh, it's warm in here. I laid myself a little path, only a bit rough, just with some slabs, some 2 foot by 2 foot slabs on some 18mm down ballast, but had got stuff growing in it. Probably wasn't much good for concreting, but ideal for this. And they might settle and move a bit, but I could always adjust them. It's not too much of a problem. So yeah, quite pleased with that. Okay, so I'm gonna fill this up with soil now. I'm gonna do soil, muck, mix that together, and then compost on top. So the first thing I'm gonna do though, is I've been walking up and down over this soil when it's wet, it's kind of subsoily stuff. So I'm gonna break up the hard pan now with a garden fork, just dig it in and wiggle it around a bit. And then I'm gonna try and add lots of soil. Now, having a step instead of a ramp is gonna cost me a little bit because it's gonna mean I can't use a wheelbarrow, so I'm gonna have to bucket it all in here. Now it didn't take long to fill this up where the path is. I have a feeling it might be a different matter with all this area here. So I'm gonna try and do what I can and get on it. Now this is the topsoil I took from where I cleared the greenhouse. It's not weed free, as you can see. Neither is the muck that I get. That does also grow weeds, but some nice consistency this year. I've left it for a year to kind of crumble down. So I'm going to put these in and then cover with compost to try and stop the weeds, kind of no dig-esque. But obviously I'm digging a lot to put it in there in the first place, but let's get it moving. So I started filling up with soil and I realised I forgot the job that I need to do before, because otherwise I'm going to tread it all down. And I need to do a little fillet of mortar around the outside. So I'm going to knock up some muck now and put that on. I deliberately left the holes in the bricks empty so that it will bond somewhat. Whoa, what a job. So, this has probably got about 20 million weed seeds in it, but I'm not going to import too much compost because cost basically. But I have gone and bought a load of little bags. I can't seem to get anyone big bags to deliver here very easily. We haven't got great access and it was too wet to use my trailer, so I've just bought little bags which I kind of hate a little bit. It's peat free, it's probably rubbish, but we'll put that on top and then hopefully that'll suppress the weeds anyway for a year or so. And we can keep adding our own stuff on then. But yeah, built it up. Let's get the compost on and get it planted up. Maybe get some plants in today. I've got a bit of a worry that what I put on might be too rich. I think it'll be alright. Especially for tomatoes and cucumbers. If I grow some salads and stuff over winter as well, it'll soon use up the goodness that's in it. I don't think I'm going to have to feed it much in here this year. So it's warm, it's looking like there's no frost. I'm going to put some tender plants in here, some tomatoes, got some aubergines, get a few plants in. Feel nice, wouldn't it? Feel like the right end for the video, I think, if I put some plants in here and we can see them. Okay, so in here I've got some aubergines, some sweet peppers and some cucumbers for now, and probably keep a tomato in here and a few other bits and pieces, but stuff I want to keep better eye on. And I'll plant some basil and stuff in between so we haven't got too much bare kind of earth. And it always looks really widely spaced out, but then everything soon catches up. So it's kind of always worth not being too keen on where you plant stuff. Now aubergines don't want to be planted too deep. My plants aren't looking amazing because aubergines don't put on roots on the stem like a tomato will or a cucumber, so you've got to be a bit more careful about them. I've only recently started growing aubergines because I never used to like them, but we've kind of grown to like them a little bit, found a few dishes that work. So this year, I thought we'd go for, we got 5 plants in, should be quite good, should be enough for us anyway. Try and learn to love them a little bit. And I'm going to go for 1 variety of pepper in here, so I can isolate the seed. All about seed saving. This is called Flynn, and it's a sweet pepper. And they've got a little bit leggy in the house, I must admit. I'll get them some sticks afterwards and support them. I do wonder if I should have put the path right the way to the end and not bothered with this extra bit here. This is going to make harvesting stuff in the corner a bit trickier, but we'll see how we get on. I think it'll be alright. I could always put a slab here if I wanted to make it easier. At least I've got the option this way. And over here I've got some cucumbers. I'll plant these nice and deep. These are called Dar, D-A-R, and they're from Rob Smith's range of plants. And I'm growing them because I want a smaller cucumber, because the kids just love them as snacks. They love taking them in their lunch boxes every day. And I've got lots of F1 varieties, but the only small one I could find that wasn't F1 was this Dar. So we'll see how it does, and see if it compares to the F1 types, or if it's just not as tasty. But I've got 6 plants here I'll put in. In the other greenhouse I'm going to plant some of the F1s. I've got some in my bedroom already, and I will put some in the bottom polytunnel as well. So we'll see, a bit of a comparison, see which the best mini cucumber is really. But in here will be Dar, and they'll be isolated, so I can save the seed, and these can be for my seed saving next year, for the stuff I sell and give away seeds with. And I'll plant them quite far back, and I can plant something in front of them then, some flowers or something. Because they're being trellised, you can plant them a little bit closer together than if you were doing them so they were trailing. I'll put some netting or something up later on. Oh, this one doesn't look as healthy as the others. You know, it feels great to get some of these tender plants out into the greenhouse. It could still be a little early, could still be a bit of a risk. Let's hope it's not. I've got some basil and stuff planted along there, some French marigolds, things like that. Lots of things you can plant with this. So there we go, folks. Second greenhouse. So I now have 2 12x8 greenhouses. Replaced the little 8x6 that was here. Got a much bigger one. By having the second greenhouse here, it's kind of my way of mitigating against kind of climate change and kind of unpredictable weather. It means that, like the wet winter we've just had, I can still grow some winter crops, especially with how wet it can be here. So I'm looking forward to using this. I'm trying to get 2 lots of growth out of it. So I want the summer crops and I want my winter crops. Winter crops are almost more important than the summer ones in some respects. Having some fresh greens, maybe growing some chard, some brassicas, things like that over winter in there will be great, because nothing seems to really do very well in the garden lately over winter. It just gets too wet. So I'm going to raise some beds and see if I can fix that. Again, this is like the footings one. Don't copy what I've done. This is just me doing a greenhouse. I might do a video on kind of tips and tricks for putting up a second-hand greenhouse, because I think there's a few things that if you're kind of aware of when you start, makes things a little bit easier. But yeah, I'm pleased with this. It's going to be a great space to grow in. I'm loving seeing it already kind of planted up. I just can't wait to get it going. So yeah, here's to the growing season, and I'll see you next time, guys. Thanks for watching.